Hello and welcome. You know that box sitting on your desk. Today, we're going to take a really simple and calm tour inside to see how your computer really works, piece by piece. You know, if you've ever felt that a computer is some kind of magic or just way too complex to understand, you are not alone. But the truth is, the basic ideas behind it all are surprisingly straightforward. So let's begin our tour. To start, there's really one core concept to grasp. Every single computer, from the one in your phone to a giant server, is made of two different kinds of things. On one hand, you have the hardware. These are all the physical parts you can actually see and touch. You know, the screen, the keyboard, all the little chips inside. Think of it like a person's body. And on the other hand, you have the software. These are the instructions, the programs that tell all that hardware what to do. It's kind of like the thoughts and ideas that make the body work. One can't really do much without the other. So let's see how these two work together. It's really just a simple three-step process. First, you provide an input, say a click from your mouse. The computer then processes that command, and finally, it gives you an output, like a program opening up on your screen. This simple little cycle, input, process, output, is the foundation for everything your computer does. So let's start with the physical stuff, the hardware. It's time to metaphorically open up the computer case and meet the key players that make up the team inside. Okay. This might look a little complex, but just think of it as a team photo. Each of these components has a very specific job, and they all have to work together perfectly. We're going to introduce the most important members of this team one by one. First up is the motherboard. While this image looks complicated with all those slots and ports, its job is actually pretty simple. It's the backbone of the entire computer. Everything else plugs right into it, and that's what allows all the different parts to talk to each other. It doesn't do the thinking itself, but without it, you just have a box of loose parts. Now, sitting right on that motherboard is the most important chip of all, the CPU, or Central Processing Unit. If the motherboard is the backbone, the CPU is absolutely the brain. This is where the actual thinking happens. Every single command, every calculation, every instruction flows through this tiny but incredibly powerful chip. Of course, for a brain to think, it needs a place to hold information. In a computer, this is handled by memory and storage. And there are two main types. One for short-term work, and one for long-term safekeeping. On the left, we have RAM, or Random Access Memory. Think of this as the computer's desk, its temporary workspace. It's super fast, which is why the computer puts whatever it's actively working on right there for quick access. But just like a real desk, it gets cleared off when the power is turned off. On the right, we have the hard drive. This is the computer's permanent filing cabinet. It's a bit slower, but it's where you store everything for the long haul, keeping it safe and sound even when the computer is off. And here's what they actually look like. On the left, you can see the RAM sticks. That's the temporary workspace. And on the right is a hard drive, the permanent filing cabinet. Two different parts with two very different but equally important jobs. So here's a quick question, just to connect these ideas. When you've been typing up a document, but you haven't hit save yet, where is all that work being stored? Is it in the temporary workspace or the permanent filing cabinet? That's right, it's living in the computer's temporary workspace, in the RAM. And that's exactly why, if the power suddenly goes out, your unsaved work is just gone. The act of hitting save is you telling the computer, okay, take this from my temporary desk and go file it away permanently in the hard drive. So, we have our team of hardware components. We've got the backbone, the brain, and the memory. But how do they all work together? I mean, who's in charge? Well, that brings us to our final key player. We have all this powerful hardware just sitting there, ready to go. The CPU is ready to think, the RAM is ready to hold information, but what tells them what to do and when to do it? There has to be some kind of manager coordinating the whole operation. And that manager is the operating system, or OS for short. This is the masterpiece of software that brings all the hardware to life. Think of it as the conductor of an orchestra, or the manager of the team. It tells the CPU what to process, it manages what goes in and out of memory, and it allows all your other programs to run. And you're definitely familiar with an OS, even if you don't think about it. Microsoft Windows is one of the most famous examples, but others include Apple's Mac OS and Linux. When you turn on your computer, this is the first piece of software that boots up to get everything else ready to go. Okay, so we've met the team, all the hardware parts, and the software manager. Now let's put it all together and see how they work on a simple, everyday task. It all starts with your input. Let's say you click on a program icon. Instantly, the operating system sees that command. It acts as the coordinator, telling the CPU, the brain, okay, time to get to work. The CPU then pulls the program information it needs from the hard drive, puts it into RAM, that temporary workspace, and starts processing it. Finally, the result of all that work is sent as output to your screen, and the program opens. And all of this happens in a tiny fraction of a second. And that right there, that's really the main idea to take away from this. A computer might seem like one single object, but it's really a highly effective team. A team of specialized hardware parts, all being directed by one very smart software manager, the operating system. So next time you click your mouse or type a sentence, you can actually picture that entire team springing into action. It's not magic at all, it's just really, really good teamwork. And now you know exactly who's on the team.
You know that feeling, right? You're staring at a blank screen and you're just not sure where to even begin. Well, we've all been there. Today, we're going to gently pull back the curtain on a tool that's pretty much essential for school, for work, and even just for organizing your thoughts, the word processor. When you open a new program for the very first time, it can feel like a lot. You've got that stark white page, a little cursor just blinking at you, and all those rows of buttons and menus. But really, don't worry. That feeling is completely normal. And you are definitely not alone in feeling that way. The good news is, getting started is way easier than it looks. We're going to walk through the absolute basics together, from creating your very first document to adding a little bit of your own style, and then, of course, making sure all your work is saved safely. Okay, so first things first, what exactly is this tool we're talking about? Let's break down what a word processor is at its most basic, simple level. Think of it as your digital pen and paper, but with some awesome superpowers. It's really just a software program that's designed to help you do four main things: create, edit, save, and print any kind of document you can think of, whether it's a simple shopping list or a massive school report. All right, enough talk. Let's get practical. It's time to create your very first document. We're going to see just how simple it is to get your thoughts out of your head and right there onto the screen. And the process really is this straightforward. First, you just open up the application. The moment you do, 9 times out of 10, a new blank document is just waiting for you. From there, all you have to do is start typing. That's it. You've officially started your first document. See? Easy. Okay, now that you've got some words on the page, we can move on to the really fun part, making it look good. This is what we call formatting, and it's how you give your document a bit of personality. And more importantly, it makes your writing much clearer and easier for other people to read. So let's use this simple sentence as our starting point. As you can see, it's pretty plain, just basic text without any styling at all. Think of this as our before picture. Now let's add a little bit of flair. To change how the text looks, you first need to tell the program which text you want to change. You do that by selecting it, just clicking and dragging your mouse over it. Once it's highlighted, you can change the font, you can make the font bigger or smaller, and you can apply different styles, like making it bold. And just like that, with a few clicks, our plain text is transformed into a clear, powerful title. That's the power of basic formatting right there, and it's a skill you can now use on absolutely any text you write. And hey, want to work even faster? Instead of clicking all those buttons, you can use keyboard shortcuts. Just hold the Control key and press B to make text bold. Control and I makes it italic, and one of the most important ones, Control and S saves your document. Just take a moment to think about one of these you could use, maybe for a school project or even just a work email. Speaking of saving, that brings us to our next absolutely crucial point. Creating a document is great, but you have to know how to save it so you don't lose all your hard work. It's kind of like putting your important papers into a filing cabinet to keep them safe. Now, here's something that can be a little confusing at first: the difference between save and save as. It's actually really simple. You use save as the very first time you save something because it lets you give it a name and choose where to store it. You can also use it later to make a copy or save it as a different file type, like a PDF. After that first time, you just use save to quickly update the file with any changes you make. And just like that, you've pretty much covered all the fundamentals. Let's take a quick moment just to recap the powerful new skills you've just picked up. In just these last few minutes, you've learned how to go from a totally blank page to a finished product. You now know how to create a new document, how to get your words on the page, how to apply some basic formatting to make them stand out, and most importantly, how to save your work so you can always come back to it later. So that blank page, it doesn't seem quite so intimidating anymore, does it? Now it's just a canvas for all of your ideas. Your journey with word processors is really just beginning. So the only question left is, what will you create first?
Hello and welcome. Today, we're going to demystify something that a lot of us find, well, a little intimidating. But it's actually one of the most helpful tools out there for getting your life and work organized. Yep, we're talking about spreadsheets. I mean, do you ever just feel like you're drowning in numbers? It could be anything, right? Trying to track a monthly budget, or maybe you're managing sales figures for a small business, or heck, even just keeping a simple contact list. It's so easy to feel overwhelmed by all that data. But what if there was a really simple way to bring it all into focus? Well, that's exactly what this is all about, bringing some order to that chaos. And for decades, one of the most reliable tools for the job has been this simple but incredibly powerful thing, the electronic spreadsheet. Think about it. We all have information we need to manage every single day. If you're in business, you got accounts and sales. At home, maybe it's budgets or investments. If you're a student, oh man, the endless calculations. And you know what? Even a simple list of your friends' contact info, that's data that needs organizing. So what is a spreadsheet really? What is this tool that promises to bring order to all that chaos? Let's break it down in a super simple way. Okay, at its absolute core, a spreadsheet is just a digital version of a paper worksheet. Seriously, just picture a big piece of grid paper. But here's the cool part. It's got a built-in calculator that does all the hard math for you. It's all designed to just neatly organize your information into a grid of rows and columns. All right, so before we actually start using it, let's just get familiar with the layouts. We'll do a quick guided tour of the main parts, just so you know your way around. No pressure. So the easiest way to think about a spreadsheet file is to just picture a notebook, a regular old notebook. The whole file itself, that's called a workbook. And just like a notebook has different pages, a workbook has individual worksheets. You can actually see them as little tabs down at the bottom. Now, each one of those worksheets is basically a giant grid. You've got columns that run up and down, those are the letters, and you've got rows that run side to side, and those are the numbers. And where a column and a row meet, that little box is called a cell. That's it. It's just a little container for one piece of information. Okay, look up at the very top. See all those buttons and tools? That whole area is called the ribbon. It's basically your toolbox for formatting and sorting and all that stuff. But right below it, you'll see the formula bar. Now, this spot is super important. It shows you what's really inside any cell you click on. And really, what you put inside those cells is what makes it all work. So let's just pause for a second. Take a moment and just think, what's one list or maybe one budget that you manage in your own life? Could be anything, really. A grocery list, your monthly expenses, a list of books you want to read. That's the kind of stuff a spreadsheet is absolutely perfect for. Okay, so now that we kinda know our way around, let's take our very first simple steps. We're gonna walk through exactly how to get started. The most basic thing you can do, the real building block of a spreadsheet, is just putting data into a cell. That's it. You literally just click on any cell and start typing. And that data can be anything. Text, a number, a date, a time. Each cell just holds one little piece of your puzzle. Now look, just putting data in is useful, for sure. But this is where the magic happens. The real power of a spreadsheet comes from its ability to do calculations for you, and it does that using these little instructions we call formulas. And creating a formula is actually really simple. Here's how you do it. First, just click the cell where you want the answer to go. Now, step 2 is the most important part. You have to type an equals sign. That little equals sign is the signal that tells the spreadsheet, hey, get ready to do some math. After that, you just type in your calculation, say 35 plus 1,330, and then you hit enter. And check out what happens. The cell doesn't show you the math problem you typed in, right? It shows you the answer. But here's the cool part. The original formula is still there, working behind the scenes. If you click on that cell again, you can look right up at that formula bar we talked about, and you'll see it. So there you have it. We've taken our first look around and our first few steps. Let's just quickly put it all together and go over the main things to remember. So what are the key takeaways here? First, a spreadsheet is just a grid that helps you organize your data. Second, those little cells can hold all sorts of things, numbers, text, dates, you name it. And third, and this is the big one, formulas do the calculations for you, and they always start with an equal sign. It's really just a powerful tool for bringing clarity to all that data chaos. And honestly, that's all it takes to get started.
Every huge, complex financial model, every perfectly organized project plan, they all begin the exact same way, with one piece of data in one single cell. You now have everything you need to begin that journey. So the only question left is, what are you going to organize first?
Hey there! Have you ever stared at a blank screen wanting to make a presentation but just felt stuck? Well, if that sounds familiar, this is for you. We're going to go from that completely blank page to your very first presentation, one simple step at a time. So here's what we're going to do. We'll walk through 5 simple steps together. We'll start by getting comfortable with that first blank slide. Then we'll add some text, apply a professional theme with one click, drop in some pictures, and finally add a little bit of polish. So let's start right at the beginning. Okay, section 1, that first blank slide. You know, this can honestly feel like the most intimidating part of the whole process. But don't you worry, we're going to break down exactly what you're looking at so it feels totally manageable. So you open up PowerPoint, and this is what you see, right? And it's totally normal to have that moment of, where do I even start? But the good news is this screen is way simpler than it looks. This whole screen here, it's called the normal view. Just think of it as your main workspace, your command center. And while it might look a little busy, it's really just made of 3 main parts. Let's break them down. Okay, so let's just focus on these 3 spots. That giant space right in the middle, that's your main canvas, the slide pane. Then, over on the left, you've got this little column of mini slides, that's the Slides tab. And way down at the bottom, that's the Notes pane. Super handy for your own private notes that nobody else will see. All right, so now that we know our way around, let's actually start building something. This is where we get our ideas out of our head and onto the slide. And this might sound super simple, but really, every single presentation just starts with adding slides. That's the first real step. A presentation is just a story told one slide at a time. Okay, so look up at the top of the screen. See that tab that says Home? You're going to spend a lot of time there. And right inside that tab, you'll see the button we're looking for, New Slide. The process is really simple. First, you just click New Slide. Then, you can choose a layout. And this is pretty cool. It gives you a bunch of pre-made structures, like one for a title or one for a title with some bullet points. It just helps you get organized right from the start. And see these dotted boxes on the slide? They're called placeholders, and they're basically just waiting for you to put something in them. You don't have to draw a text box or anything. You just click inside and start typing. It's really that easy. Okay, so you've got some text on your slides. Now for the fun part, making it all look good. And you absolutely do not need to be a designer for this. That's what themes are for, and they're kind of like magic. So what exactly is a theme? Well, think of it like a complete design kit in a box. With just one click, it changes everything, the colors, the fonts, the background, across all your slides at once. It's like an instant professional makeover for your presentation. Yeah, a theme handles the whole shebang. The background design, the exact color scheme, the fonts, all of it. And this isn't just about saving time, which it definitely does. It makes your whole presentation look consistent, which makes your message feel way more credible. So to find these, just click on the Design tab. And here's the best part. Just move your mouse over the different options, and you'll see your slide change in real time. It's a live preview. Find one you like, just click it, and boom, your entire presentation is updated. All right, text is great, but let's be honest, a presentation with just words can be a little, well, dry. Adding visuals, pictures and graphics, is what really makes your ideas come to life. Actually, let's just pause here for a second. Take a moment and think about an idea you might want to present. What's one simple image that could represent that idea? Just having that in your head will make picking your visuals so much easier. Now, there are 2 super easy ways to add a picture. Remember those placeholder boxes? A lot of them have these little icons inside. Just click the picture icon. Or you can always go up to the Insert tab on the main menu and choose Picture from there. Both work great. So you have 2 main choices. You can use clip art, which is great for simple graphics and icons to represent an idea, or you can choose picture, which lets you grab any photo you have saved on your computer, like this one of the airplanes. Okay, we are in the home stretch now. This is the final step, adding a little polish. And this part is totally optional, but adding some subtle movement can really help guide your audience's attention and control the flow of information. Okay, this is a really important difference to get. There are 2 kinds of movement,
Animation is for the individual things on your slide, like making a line of text appear. A transition, on the other hand, is how the entire slide makes its entrance.
So to animate something, it's pretty simple. You just click on the text or the picture you want to move, then you head over to the Animations tab. You'll see a whole menu of options like fade or fly in. This is perfect for revealing your points one by one, instead of all at once. And for the transitions between your slides, you'll find those in the, you guessed it, Transitions tab. There's a whole gallery of effects there. You can have your slides fade in or push the old one off the screen. You can even add a little sound, but pro tip, use sounds very, very carefully. And believe it or not, that's it. You've just learned all the core skills. We started with a blank slide. We added text and layouts. We gave it a professional look with a theme. We dropped in some pictures, and we added a little polish with animations. You now know how to do it all. So, what's next? Well, the absolute best way to make this stick is to just do it. So I want you to open up PowerPoint and give yourself a really simple task. Make a 3-slide presentation. That's it. Just 3 slides, each with a title and 1 picture. You've got this. You can absolutely do this.
Hello and welcome. You know, sometimes opening your email can feel like you're staring at a huge, tangled knot. But today, we're going to gently pull on the right threads and get everything straightened out. We're going to take a calm walk through Microsoft Outlook, one simple step at a time. Does that little number of unread emails just keep climbing, making you feel a little bit stressed? I think we've all been there. It feels like a never-ending to-do list. But what if we could change that feeling from chaos to calm? Well, we can, and I'm going to show you how. We're not going to try and learn everything all at once. That's just not how it works. Instead, we'll focus on just a few key things that are going to make a really big difference in your day-to-day. And I promise, by the time we're done, you're going to feel so much more in control. So, are you ready? Let's begin. All right, first things first. Let's tackle the most fundamental part of Outlook, sending an email. You're going to be doing this all the time, so let's get it right and make it feel easy.
Really? Sending an email boils down to just 4 simple steps. First, you create the new message, then you tell it who it's for, you write your message, and finally, you click send. That's it. Let's look at each one. So when you're in Outlook, just look for the new button. It's usually right up in the top left corner. Go ahead and give that a click, and a fresh, blank email window will pop right up, just like a clean sheet of paper. Okay, now we just fill in the blanks. The to line is for the main person you're writing to. The CC line, which stands for carbon copy, is for anyone you want to keep in the loop. They're not expected to reply, they're just getting a copy for their information. The subject is super important. It's like the headline of your email, so make it clear. And then that big empty space, that's where you type out your actual message. And there you have it. You know how to send an email. It's really that simple. Now, let's look at a few ways to add a little professional polish to your messages. We're going to cover 3 quick and easy ways to enhance your emails: setting the importance level, adding an automatic signature, and attaching a file. You see that little red exclamation mark? That's a handy tool for when something is truly urgent. Clicking it tells the other person, hey, this is time sensitive. Just a little word of advice, though. Use this one sparingly. If everything is high importance, then nothing is. Save it for real deadlines. Now, are you tired of typing out your name, your title, and your phone number every single time? Of course you are. That's where a signature comes in. You set it up just once, and Outlook will automatically add it to the end of every email for you. It's a small thing that makes a big professional difference. And what if you need to send a document, like a report or a photo? Easy. Just look for the little paperclip icon. When you click that, you can browse your computer and pick any file you want to include with your message. A couple of clicks, and you're all set. Okay, you're sending great emails. Now let's talk about organizing the people you're sending them to. This is like creating your own digital address book, and trust me, it's going to save you so much time later on. So what is a contact in Outlook? You can think of it as a digital index card. It's one single place where you can keep a person's email, phone number, address, all their key information, all neatly organized. And adding someone is incredibly simple. You just click New Contact and start filling in their information. Taking a minute to do this now means you won't be searching for their email address later. It's a great habit to get into. Let's just pause here for a second. Take a nice, calm breath. Now think about your work. Who are the 3 people you email the most often? Got them? Great. Those 3 people are the perfect first contacts to add to your address book. See? You're already making progress. All right, we've covered emails and contacts.
Are you ready to become the master of your own schedule? Let's dive into the calendar feature. This is where you really take control of your day. Now in the calendar, you'll see two main options, appointments and meetings. And the difference is really simple. An appointment is just for you. It's you blocking out your own time. A meeting is when you want to invite other people to join you. So, let's say you need an hour of uninterrupted time to finish a report. You'd create an appointment. Just give it a subject, like work on report, set the time, and that's it. You've now protected that time in your schedule. And here's a great feature. If you have something that happens regularly, like a weekly team check-in, you don't have to create it every single week. You can use the recurrence feature to set it up once, and it'll appear on your calendar automatically. It's like having your own personal scheduler. Now, if you need to gather your colleagues, you'll use a meeting request. It looks almost exactly like an appointment, but this time you can add people as attendees. When you send it, they'll each get an invitation that they can accept or decline. It makes scheduling so much easier. And that's it. Just like that, you've learned the 3 core functions of Outlook. See, it wasn't so scary, was it? You now have all the basic skills you need to manage your professional communication with confidence. So let's just quickly review what we covered. We learned how to send and improve your emails, how to keep your contacts organized in one place, and how to take charge of your schedule with appointments and meetings. That's a lot, and you did great. You really are ready to go. The best way to make all of this stick is to simply try it. So after this, why not open up Outlook and schedule a 15-minute appointment for yourself? You can call it practice time. You've got this.
Hello and welcome. If you've ever felt that the internet is this big, complicated place, well, you are definitely in the right spot. Today, we're just going to take a simple, step-by-step journey to understand the basics. The goal here is to make it all feel clear and easy, so you can feel confident right from the very start. If you've ever felt little lost or overwhelmed trying to get online, please know you are so not alone. That's a really common feeling. But the good news is we're about to change that. By the end of this little explainer, you'll have the basic map you need to navigate the web with total ease. So here's our simple roadmap for today. We're going to start with the front door to the internet, opening your web browser. Then we'll become detectives and learn how to search for any information you could possibly need. After that, we'll look at how you can connect with people in online groups. And finally, we'll explore how to actually create things together online. It's a really clear path, from just getting started all the way to collaborating.
All right, let's dive right in with part 1, opening your web browser. I want you to think of a web browser as your own personal window to the entire web. It's the essential first step you have to take before you can go anywhere else online.
So, what is a web browser, really? Well, it's just a program on your computer that lets you browse or surf the web. The way to think about it is like a special window that lets you look at and open all the different pages and documents online. You've probably seen the icons for them before. Popular ones are Google Chrome, Mozilla Firefox, things like that.
Okay, so when you open your browser, I want you to notice that long box at the very top, just like you see here. That is the address bar. The easiest way to think of it is like a street address for every single website. Each site has its own unique address called a URL, and you just type it in here to go exactly where you want to go. But what if you find a website you really like and want to visit again without having to memorize that whole long address? Well, that's where bookmarks come in handy. As you can see, it's super simple. Just go to the page, click the little star icon up in the address bar, and it's saved. Next time, you just find it in your bookmarks list. It's kind of like putting a little flag in a book to save your favorite page.
So now we know how to go directly to a website if we have the address. But what if you don't know the address? That brings us right to part 2, searching for information. This is like having your own personal guide for finding anything on the web, even if all you have is just an idea of what you're looking for.
A search engine is just an amazing tool. A great way to think of it is like a librarian for the entire web, and that's a perfect analogy. You just tell it what you're looking for, and it searches through literally billions of pages to find the most relevant information for you. Google is the most famous one, of course, but there are others out there too. And using a search engine is incredibly simple. When you go to its website, you'll see a big search box right in the middle, just like this one. You don't have to be formal at all. You can just type in a few simple words, like rose gardening tips, or even a whole question, like how do I bake a chocolate cake? Just press enter, and the search engine does all the hard work for you. Let's just pause right here for a second. Take a moment and just think, what's one thing you have always been curious to learn about? Maybe it's the history of your town, or a recipe you've always wanted to try, or even how to fix a leaky faucet.
Whatever it is, that's something you can now find just by typing it into a search engine.
All right, so the internet isn't just a giant library. It's also a place to meet and talk with other people. And this brings us to part 3, joining online groups. This part is all about connecting with people who share your hobbies and your interests. Now, there are a couple of different ways to connect with people online. This slide shows 2 of the most common types. On the left, you've got a discussion forum. Think of this like a public town square. Anybody can just drop in and join conversations on a topic, which makes it a great place to learn from a really wide community. And on the right, you have a discussion group. This is more private, kind of like a book club. You usually need an invitation to join, which often leads to more focused discussions.
Building on that idea of connecting with people, we've arrived at our final section, Part 4, Working Together Online. This is all about how you can not only talk with people, but actually create and share things with them, no matter how far apart you might be.
And here are 2 fantastic examples of that. On the left, we have something called a wiki. This is a shared web page that a whole group of people can edit and add information to. The most famous example, of course, is Wikipedia. It's just amazing because it allows knowledge to be built by a global community. Then on the right, you have a shared document, like a Google Doc. This is more private. It's a single file that you share with specific people so you can all work on it together, even at the exact same time.
And just like that, we've covered all the fundamentals. Let's do a quick recap of our journey. We started by learning how to browse the web, then we figured out how to search for anything you're curious about, and finally, we saw how you can connect with communities and even create things with other people online. You've really learned a lot in a very short time.
So the most important thing to take away from all this is simple. You now have the map. These tools are no longer a mystery. The only question left is the fun part. What will you explore first? The journey is now yours. Thanks so much for joining me today.